Yo, what's up, man? This is Jason DeBeas. This episode is brought to you by NY Varsity Sports. That's me, the NYV. Let's get cracking, boy. This is episode 37 of Sports Debate Tuesday, and the episode starts right now. Guess who's back? Vacation. Guess who's back? Unshaven. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? What's up, people? Sports Debate Tuesday, along with my man, Rob, Keep It McLean. I'm Jason DeBeas. We are your host with the most. Hostess with the mostest. Get out of here with that. What's up, Bobby McGee, man? This is a packed weekend, but we're going to try to fit it in 50 minutes, but we got a lot to talk about. Okay, we got UFC kick heard around the world, man. We're going to talk about Impa losing his had to go. We going to talk about Dak Prescott, that just gruesome injury that, man, he just knew right away, right? He was just pointing at his ankle. We got someone's has to go this week. There's only 5 undefeated teams. We're going to discuss who's going to lose, who's going to go first. But first, let's go to the NBA. LeBron James. The Lakers win 4-2. The last game they win 106-93. LeBron James, his 4th title. LeBron James, his 4th Finals MVP. LeBron James trying to make his way to the Mount Rushmore of the NBA, when many thought he wasn't even qualified for the Mount Rushmore of the Lakers. In my opinion, he has not passed Jordan. And I hate the comparisons, and it's unfair. But I think he has passed Magic, and he has passed Bird. The question is, Rob, this win yesterday on National Father's Daughters Day, big tribute to Kobe Bryant. What does this win do for LeBron's legacy?
I think this win just further cements his legacy as one of the greatest players in NBA history, if not the top 5 NBA players right now. You know, it doesn't have to wait till his career is over. You could just say it what it is right now. He's a difference maker, a generational talent that in any single and this is the way I like to explain him. No matter what the place in history, he will be the same type of dominant player, if not more dominant. And I only meaning that because the ball needs to be passed around to kind of score. Now, back in the day, you know, if you're that dominant of a scorer, they just get you the ball and you put the ball in the hole. So honestly, I think that just LeBron, the only thing he really did in his that I think changed in his legacy is that he kind of diminished his legacy, and that he's trying to ask for respect and looking towards other for validation, you know, and I mean that in the most sincere way, and that nobody cares at the end of the day. Like, if you care, that's why you're not the best. Like, being the best at something is your own day after day, just doing your own thing behind the scenes. It has nothing to do with getting the validation from other people or getting the respect that I deserve. If you walk around any street in any single place, people will love you or hate you, but they respect you. You can't take that from somebody else. So LeBron's always been respected. He's been actually more respected than probably any player in history, that from before he even got in the league, 4 years before he got into the league, he was crowned King James, the best player to ever be known to play the game. This guy's the second coming of Jesus in the name of basketball. And he was applauded. He had money and success way before he had anything on the court, NBA wise. And so to say that he had the same, upbringing as some other players to have to get to the heights they got to, I think it's quite a disservice. And the fact of how fast he was able to get into the league, to pad the type of numbers he was able to do, because teams literally transform their entire organizations to LeBron James. So I think it's just unfair to compare the players. And at the end of the day, you'll not only compare the statistics, the overall statistics, but the impact at the time, as well as how in a small period of time you affect the game in a large way, as opposed to a large period of time you affect the game in a small way. And that's just the difference to me in Jordan and LeBron, is that Jordan really didn't ask for it. He just kind of did all that. He didn't have somebody before him to say, this is, or show, this is the way you got to do it. This is the way you got to do it. Everybody said they had an idea, but he transformed the way that basketball was seen all over the world. And then everybody else is kind of following suit. So it's really hard to say that just on basketball, LeBron is better than Jordan. It's not really true. LeBron hasn't done 6 for 6 in a row of MVP finals. And even on those teams, he might have put up the numbers, but not only the timing, as well as the numbers, as well as the amount that the team would put on their back offensively and defensively throughout their entire career. I just don't see the same impact that LeBron had on his teams, not had on any team or would have, but had on his team, as opposed to Jordan had on any of his teams. So at the end of the day, not to bring this too long, but I think LeBron just kind of cemented again that he will always be the second best player of all time at the end of the day, because of how he just can't accept not being the greatest. Everybody's told him he's the greatest from the beginning. He's lived up to that bill as best you can, right? But at the end of the day, what he's done for basketball has not been helpful in the fact that the game doesn't really flow on both ends of the court as it used to, and I think he has a large contributing factor to that. But yeah, sorry. End of the day, I think it's great for all the players in the Lakers, not just LeBron. I think it's amazing Anthony Davis got to win his first ring. KCP, Rondo comes back and gets another ring. Kuzma gets his first ring. There's so many players on the team. Dwight Howard gets his first ring. There's so many players in that team that went to get a ring, not only with LeBron, but for themselves, to cement their own and to create their own, footing in the league, or cement their own legacy as a Dwight Howard. So there's a lot of factors that go into that win. And, LeBron might have put up the numbers, but I still think that Anthony Davis, definitely was in the running for being the MVP for the finals. I don't see how there isn't a conversation at least about that. But at the end of the day, I think, great job, Lakers. Not saying anybody handed it to them, but I don't think this is the toughest matchup for them. If you look across the board and what the bubble had to offer on if it was a, not just East versus West tournament, because there were so little teams to create that. But if there was just whoever made it in, they created a bracketed structure where every team plays against because there's not travel. There's nothing really holding these people back from going and having interconference battles, Eastern and Western Conference, playing against each other, and maybe having a Western Conference final, just because with lesser teams in the bubble, I think it's a lot easier to maybe make it a fair competition. But it ended up how it ended up. I thought the Heat were really beaten up, really tough to see. If I would have known that, I wouldn't have said Heat in 7. I probably would have agreed with Lakers in 6 or Lakers in 5. But great fight by them, and really loved how it ended up being a competitive game at the end.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, congratulations to Spoelstra. Probably doesn't feel like he deserves it, but Eric Spoelstra pretty much cemented his legacy as one of the better coaches in the NBA. He's been in the league close to 25 years, because he's been doing it since he's a pup. And the way the Lakers organize, the Miami Heat, the way their organization operates, he might be there another 25 years. I mean, he's I think he's kind of a made man, and the way he continues to coach good teams and do more with less and do more with more solidifies his legacy as a good coach. Now, back to the subject at hand. That was a pretty fully loaded diatribe, and I think this is the first time on this show where I have agreed with you as much as I disagree. It is a very, very unique statement you made where I was ready to push back, but you're not entirely wrong. But allow me to indulge and bear with me on this one. In high school, there's two girls up for prom queen, right? Everyone thinks one girl should be it. Everyone thinks the other girl should be it. I don't know. One girl gets prom queen. She gets a lot of blowback from everybody else because she got prom queen. All right. Jorge Masvidal, MMA, fights Ali Aquinta. Razor close decision. The judges give it to Ali Aquinta, and the fans rain down on Ali Aquinta with boos. Mixed martial arts? The prom? Jason, what the hell are you talking about? What the hell does one thing have to do with the other? The one thing they have in common is because somebody else put them on that pedestal. It generated hate and criticism and people's desire to see them fail and do poorly when it's not on them. Yes, was LeBron James crowned the king? Yes. Did he kind of put a little bit on that on himself? Probably. Yeah. When you get a tattoo of a crown, that means you acknowledge it. I think I agree with you in the sense that making a statement revolves around what everybody else thinks, as opposed to what you think, and your self-respect and earning a different level of respect. When everybody's gone, you can sit in the room and be like, I think I got it, and I think I did it. And the part where I disagree was because with you is I think that people think it's one or the other. And LeBron James, it's a unique situation where it's both. He had something to prove to his doubters. I mean, and he also had something to prove to himself. And I think he can sit in his castle or his big old mansion somewhere with a big smile on his face. Now, back to the Jordan thing. Jordan is very, very difficult to compare to because when you make 6 finals in 8 years, and one of those years he wasn't in the league and the other he came in late, and 6 MVPs against the level of competition. Now, we're not even talking about the finals, right? We're talking about just to get to the finals. We're talking about the Pistons. We're talking about the Knicks, 2 teams that probably made the league invent the flagrant foul. We're talking about Reggie and the Indiana Pacers. We're talking about Shaq, the Orlando Magic. We're talking about this ton of teams before we even talk about the Jazz, before we even talk about the Phoenix Suns, before we even talk about the Los Angeles Lakers when Magic Johnson was at the near end, before we talk about Clyde the Glide and the Portland Trailblazers, before we talk about a 62-win Seattle Supersonics team with Sean Kemp and Gary Payton. So Jordan is a very, very tough cookie to crumble. But with that being said, I always say, right now he's not Jordan, but like I said before, I think he's still got 2 more rings to win. And if he wins 2, he wins 2 more. We're having a conversation here. So what does this do for his legacy? I think he takes one step closer, and he passed a lot of people. And I think I don't want to really talk about Jordan anymore because I think we both agree that's not even a conversation yet. Or if you in your case might be never, okay? In my case, I disagree with you when I say yet. But the part I agree with you is I co-sign because it's unfair to take this man's moment and cheapen it by saying you'll never be Jordan. Okay, the GOAT goes to Jordan, but last night and the day and the rest of this week belongs to LeBron King James. Lastly, his entrepreneurship off the court, him being able to deal with COVID, him leading the charge of co-signing on creating this bubble, because we both know if LeBron wasn't down with this bubble, if he was just going to walk, I guarantee the rest of the league was going to walk, and that's a testament to the power this man has in this league. Creating a bubble, 0 positive test. 0 positive tests, Rob. There are more positive tests in the White House where you can't even get a picture of Abraham Lincoln while the Secret Service tackling you. So to answer your question, this does it is one giant step past a ton of players like Magic Johnson and like Larry Bird. And now I think he's in the conversation with Kobe between now and next year, which a lot of people still say no. And Congratulations to the guy who's done it right. Anthony Davis, I thought was in a running for Finals MVP, but he laid a golden goose egg in that one loss not Saturday, but the one before that. And I thought if it was between him and that, if there's a one game difference, that was probably it. Great job by the King though, triple double, 28 points, 14 rebounds, 10 assists. Big up to Bam, man. You called it the beginning. Remember we were talking about the beginning of the series, like don't forget about Bam. Whoo! Wow.
It was the first or second game he was back. So
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. If I knew they were down, they're one of the best veteran point guards and their only inside presence. It's an obvious.
Mm-hmm.
It's an obvious series one way, but it is what it is.
Yeah, man. And hey, the Butler did it, right? You picked 7 games. I picked 5 games to 1, 4 games to 1, and it was 4 games to 2 because the Butler did it. That man, you will never, ever talk about performances in a losing effort. There are so few, you remember them by name, and I'm going to remember this for a long, long time. And the Miami Heat players who got injured and who remained on that court to try to win this will remember this too. The brotherhood, the what's the Shakespearean reference? The battle of what is it? St. Crispin. It says, "We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today that sheds his blood for me shall be my brother." And that's all I want to say about that. Anything else, Rob?
All good.
Man, it's a wrap for the NBA. And as these people are headed home, I'm very, very proud of what the NBA from Commissioner Silver all the way down, man. Let's move on to the NFL. There were some really, really exciting games this weekend. Okay, I think there's about 5 teams left that are undefeated. But before we talk about the undefeated teams, Rob, what was the biggest upset you saw this weekend? I think I'll go first on this, and you go second. My biggest upset was the Miami Dolphins beating the San Francisco 49ers. It was supposed to be Jimmy G's comeback. Kittle looked relatively healthy. They have a pretty good receiving core. Their front 5 block really well. Their defense is still stout, and that meant very little to nothing to the Harvard boy, Ryan Fitzpatrick. The Conor McGregor on steroids lit them up for 350 plus yards, did not care, and the game was over before it even started at the half. That was my biggest upset of the week. What was yours, Rob?
Mine was pretty notable. I thought it was the Raiders versus the Chiefs. I watched a good deal of the game, and yeah, the end of it was great. It was a good high level battle. I thought, well, when I was watching the game, I really thought that the Raiders were, a really well-coached team again. It looks like John Gruden really has everything tight over there. They got rid of a lot of named secondary players, and their secondary looks really tight, really fast. And they got a lot of bodies up front on both sides. Great quarterback, great running back. It's going to be a great team to watch. I really can't look forward to it. But it was one of the times where you understand that, a head coach that really does well.
I'm still with you, baby. Go ahead.
A head coach that really does well with, with their quarterback offensively, can really stifle a defensive quarterback. So, on the defense can stifle the other team's quarterback, and that's what you need to understand how to disrupt the quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, because he definitely is susceptible to teams. Whether it's blitzing or just taking out their running game, or taking out their underneath coverages, options. It makes it really difficult for him, and he has to, use everything he can to, pinpoint deep throws against good coverage. So really, really well-coached game, I thought.
Yeah, man. And the crazy thing is, the only people that didn't think it was an upset were the Raiders. I mean, clearly, when you see the way they've been playing every regular season game, including the loss to the Buffalo Bills, their only loss, they bought into whatever sales pitch John Gruden was selling. The dude had to get used to this new wave of players. He came from this kind of school of hard knocks where he wasn't a hardcore disciplinarian, but he wasn't into babying people. He was one of those guys where he was really, really good with personalities, but when it came time to play, he'll come to your face and say, "We don't have time for cheers. We ain't got time for excuses. Either you do or do not." And I think he still keeps that philosophy where, some of these athletes in every sport, probably not, Gruden might not be their cup of tea. So I love your upset. I love your upset better than mine, even though mine was like, I don't think a lot of people saw the Miami Dolphins coming, even though I'm pleasantly surprised for the coach that you and we've been talking about this guy, Flores for so long. Remember last year, like they lost a bunch of games, but they ended up winning 4 of their last 5. And that just shows they play for this guy. They're willing to stop, stand in front of a car for this dude. So that's the kind of coach you want to play for, and they're really showing. I'm very, very happy for the Dolphins. Congratulations to them this weekend. All right, there are 5 undefeated teams that are left. We're going to do I'll save that for a quick question. I'll save that for the end for a quick question. Let's move on to the team we loathe the most, but actually the quarterback I respect the most, Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if you saw it, and I'll probably put it up on the edit, maybe some highlights. Just had this gruesome looking thing happen to his ankle, and the close-up, Rob, I don't know if it's because his shoe came halfway off or if that. Tell me, what did you see? Did that look for real?
I don't think the shoe came off.
Whew.
Let's just say that.
Yeah. I guess my question to you, Rob, is right now I believe they're 2-4 or 2-3. I'll double check that. Do you see them? I predicted if they had Dalton, they would finish 10-6 in the beginning of the season. How do you see them going? The Cowboys moving on with Dalton?
I think the NFC is wide open yet again. I don't know how that team comes and does anything successful when they lose one of their most successful offensive players. Everybody says it's Ezekiel Elliott. Honestly, I think that Dak Prescott has been dragging this team forward with how their defense is playing. Got to go out there and do it again. I know offensive line works hard. I know Zeke is trying to get his money every day. And I know, they got great wide receivers, but it just feels like they needed Dak Prescott to make that team go forward. And then on top of that, their defense was like non-existent at all. So, and the fact that the Giants could put up 34 points against them when they haven't even, they've been shut out once. They've put up like less than 15 points like 3 times this season, and they can put up 34 points and 17 points in the first quarter. It's just, what is that team doing? Yeah. But yeah, without Dak Prescott, I just see them falling all the way to the bottom of the NFC East, honestly. I think the Eagles come up and win the division now, as bad as they've been. The Giants don't have a chance still. They just don't have the talent for it. And the Redskins, they're just pretty bad too. So, yeah, the Eagles, maybe the Cowboys can stay in there, but they haven't put any, separation in the division, with all their, winning and losing antics of being 500. They haven't done anything to separate themselves. So they're putting in a backup quarterback. They're going to have to lean real heavily on that run game, and teams are going to stack the box. So I really think that Philadelphia has the best chance, just that they could snap out of their turnover production, just to play decent football. They can really do well.
Yeah, it's a 2-horse race in the NFC East, aka the NFC least. Philadelphia had a tie with Cincinnati, but I think that tie is going to probably be enough to beat the Dallas Cowboys. I predicted a 10-6 finish with Dalton, but I think it's going to be more like 9-7. But I see the Eagles probably finishing 9-6-1, and by winning percentage, we'll probably win this. I want to convey. Stephen A. Smith was on First Take Monday morning, conveying his personal disgust about Jerry Jones being, the biggest sympathizer for his injury, but at the same time didn't give Dak the money he wanted. Now, you and I thought Dak should have just taken the 5-year and run, but he wanted the 4-year, whatever, and this and that. But to Dak's argument and to Stephen A. Smith's argument, if that were Tony Romo, he would have got his money. If that were Tony Romo, he would have got his money. Dak, until this ankle injury, hasn't even had so much as a paper cut. He's one of the most durable individuals I've ever seen. Mobile quarterback going out there, sometimes not sliding. Maybe he should have damn well slid yesterday, especially against the Giants. Not the team you want to do, you want to do like a whole bunch against. Like even Lamar Jackson knew his situation on Sunday. He's like, nope, I'm not running. I don't need to do all kinds of stuff to beat this team. I'm gonna be safe, and maybe Dak when he comes back, if he comes back, and no, when he comes back, he'll be a little bit more careful. But consider this: one of the most durable quarterbacks in the NFL has already proven. Already made the playoffs twice, has already won playoff games, and at a young age, 20, and still in his 20s, doesn't get his contract. Tony Romo. Well, he got a $31.4 million franchise tag, so thank God for that. But Tony Romo, at 32 years old, got a contract for $108 million, $25 million signing bonus, $55 million guaranteed. At 32 years old, that had a reputation, if not pattern, for being, what's the word we can use that's not too insulting? No, screw that. Brittle. Okay? Brittle. The guy, probably has turf toe from running too fast and gets his money. And that, to me, Stephen A. Pointed out something like that, and a lot of people thought Dak should have took the contract. But in Dak's defense, I thought big up to my man Sass making an argument for that, and I think I'm a co-sign with him on that. What you just said, they're going to miss him. So far this season, 68% completion percentage, 1,856 yards passing on 9 TDs, 4 INTs, but I thought 2 of them were kind of like bad routes. So he's one of these quarterbacks that makes you worry because you don't see the best of him until the second half. And you ain't going to win a championship having to play from behind, right? There's a reason why you got all those fourth quarter comebacks, Rob. Why?
And this is
because you're behind.
The one thing I gotta.
Go ahead.
I agree, but this is the one thing I gotta add to that is when you look at all the best quarterbacks, they might be able to, start off a game with a good league, but most of the time, especially the mixture of the coach's play call as well as the chances that you take early on in the game when a team is, perfectly in great condition and not fatigued at all, as opposed to what you do in the second half. As a high level quarterback, you're supposed to be good in the second half. You're supposed to be good in third down situations, short yardage situations. You're supposed to be good in 2-minute drills and in the red zone. That for me, I'd rather have a quarterback like that, and let's have a team that's got a decent running back, a couple good special teams players to get the ball down the field. A good speedy wide receiver, all those things mixed in with a quarterback that can work a 2-minute drill. And that's what you need.
And a running back. We don't need Cabo Zeke. We need Zeke,
exactly.
Man.
You need, what's his name? You don't need Christian McCaffrey, no offense, but you can take, what's his name, Brown, that's playing right now, who's killing it, Mike Brown. That guy is, a little bowling ball, knocking through people for first downs. You don't need a guy who's going to break a 25-yard run that gets paid $25 million a year. That's where, understanding the GM aspect of the game is so interesting where, you really can understand how a value means a lot and how effective and efficient you can make a certain player means so much as opposed to just get the best player at every position. It's just not fiscally possible,
Steve, Jerry Jones to Stephen Jones for the GM, huh? That could be one of those out of the frying pan and into the fire type things. But so a lot of fun games this weekend, and we're gonna revisit the NFL on Q&A and also on Shame or No Shame. Let's move on to mixed martial arts. Small event this weekend, not really worth watching in its entirety. Though me, I watch everything, and you probably watched the main event, and then, of course, maybe that this dude Buckley, the video went viral, and you're like, okay, there's a match I could watch in its entirety, right? It's only one round. So Rob, with that being said, with little or lot we watched this weekend, what match stuck out to you this weekend? I'd like to go first. I think Corey Sandhagen. Good bounce back from losing. If you remember, he lost to Aljamain Sterling, who came out with like a house of fire, just fist whips to the ground, submission attempts until Sandhagen, to his credit, didn't tap. He chose to sleep. So big up to him because I knew this guy was a savage, and I knew he was in the division for one reason and one reason only, to be the champion. And Marlon Moraes, who's like a top 3, possibly a number 2, when you take him out the first round, and that shot to the temple in the manner that he did, a spinning heel kick. Wow, that says a lot. That says a lot, and big congratulations to him, because Marlon Moraes, we both know, is not an easy out, man. That is a Mark Henry, part of that camp, and those dudes are savages. They just don't get knocked out. So,
True.
yeah, big up to Sanhagen. But I thought, for people really watching closely, I believe he broke his orbital bone after the first round. So I think Moraes is doing really, really just trying to protect and cover up, and I thought that left open, a kick he didn't see coming, because when you cover up, you think it's going to go to the body. After the leg kicks and the body kicks, he just went high and boom, and that temple gets, shakes your equilibrium. Sometimes that's enough. You get hit once or twice on the ground. That's it. ABC, you later. What was your fight of interest over the weekend?
Yeah, it was definitely Buckley and his opponent, because I'm not going to butcher his name. But
I'll say it for you. Kasangane. Okay? His name is Impa Kasangane, man. He was 8-0, savage.
Yeah, both of them had great records. I definitely like to see that before I look at any, lower level fight. And yeah, I it looked like a really interesting fight. After the first round, it seemed like they were both, not trading very much, but doing a good job of making each other pay. And it was just very interesting, very tactical for as as strong and as athletic as they could be. So it looked like it was going to be a really interesting fight. And then the greatest kick knockout of all time in 2020. So it was just great to see, and glad to see some guys in the bottom are coming through with some flashy stuff, and not just the same old.
They're trying to get that bonus, man. When you're getting paid 20 to show, 20 to win, how about some extra cheddar cheese, another 50K, man. Yo, Dana White came up to him and said, look, I got the guys in the back saying you should just get all 4 bonuses. Just give them the 200K. And dude's like, I got a bonus. Dana, stop playing with me. Because congratulations, he had a baby. So, I mean, a little 50K when you have a child makes you think a little bit more happier, pleasant thoughts. Maybe you get that house with the room, maybe you expand that room, maybe you paint that room blue or pink, depending on what the child is. I'm being sexist like that. And congratulations to him. Cool, man. So listen, I compiled a list. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob's going to give me some feedback on my list, but I had to do it because everyone was like saying this is the greatest head kick knockout in mixed martial arts and definitely the UFC. So the question is it the greatest head kick knockout? But my answer is, you're going to see in a minute, because this is Jason DeBelius's top 5 head kick knockouts in UFC history. Number 5, Rob. Wax on, wax off. You know this guy. This is Loyola the Dragon Machida facing Randy Couture, and here comes the switch kick, and out flies the tooth. Finishes him off. Randy Couture later on announced his retirement in this match. But this was so Karate Kid-esque. Look at that. Boom. Reminds you of the Karate Kid, right? Off one leg, off the other. Machida, head kick knockout. Which leads me, wow, look at that. He's like, that's enough. Number 4, with a real Landau. Please stand up. This is Lando Venata. Wow. Knocks out John McDessie with a spinning heel kick and a walk-off. He knew before he even hit the ground. He's like, do I need to pounce on him? Nah, I'm good. Good night. Number 3, Mr. Buckley has arrived. The original, the real Black Panther. You want to catch my foot? You get that with the other one. I got 2 of them. You want to hold my foot? I got a foot just like it. Spin me. Woo! Sleep me a river. And another guy who was out before he even hit the ground, and that's my number 3. And Rob, you're wondering, with a kick like that, that's number 3. What the hell is number 2? And what the hell is number 1? I shudder to think, but leave it to the educated feet of Edson Barbosa. Watch this. Boom! Spinning heel kick on Terry Edom. Terry Edom goes as stiff as a board. And Barbosa's like, what? You think he's number 3? You think he's number 2? You think he's number 1? Nope, it's me. I'm number 1. Nope. I shouldn't be number 2. Nope. Number 1. I should be number 1, Jason. You're full of it. I'm number 1. In fact, I'm going to show you again. See? Number 1. Barbosa, I love you, but you're not number one on this. You're number two because this is my number one. Deck the halls with Uriah Hall on Adam Cella. This happened in the house, The Ultimate Fighter with Son and John Jones and oh my goodness, Taekwondo. Choryuken! That's all you get like Street Fighter, says Uriah Hall. And this was scary as heck. Dana White's like, dude, I'm going to get sued for this. I'm going to get sued for this. And Cella's like, what happened? And it was such a bad kick. Everyone was struck silent. And even Uriah Hall was like, dude, I'm so sorry. And I want you to hear the sound on this. That is my top 5 MMA head kick knockouts in the history of the UFC. Rob, your thoughts on my top 5? And give me 1 or 2 honorable mentions.
I mean, I loved him. Definitely not anything I'll replace, but I can't remember the exact fight, but I definitely remember an Anderson Silva one.
Oh, beat Vitor Belfort.
Yeah.
He just dropped his hands and then
Right up the middle.
This is my hand, not my foot.
Right down the middle. Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah, that was a tough one because they all thought that, Vitor was going to be doing the same thing that Chael Sonnen would do to him if either one of them got the chance. So,
ooh, I was a betting man.
Came out with an early one.
I was a betting man that was yours. I was a betting man that was yours because I think we saw that together. We saw that like on some kind of replay, and he was fighting Vitor, and Anderson Silva had this thing like, once I get your timing, both hands go down. And when both hands go down, something really bad is going to happen next. Right up the middle. And that was actually 2 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks before Machida knocked out Couture. Same camp. Same Black House gym. So maybe Machida saw something Anderson, and was like, you know what? I think I could do that too, except I'm gonna do a switch kick, which is why I put Machida ahead of Silva. But quality of competition, Vitor was starching people, so he could have easily been number 5. Let's not forget honorable mention, Gabriel Gonzaga, Mirko Cro Cop with a head kick with 10 seconds left. He was kind of out on his feet. He had top position, had a little ground and pound. So when the ref stood him up, I thought Cro Cop was a little out to begin with, but oof. Oh, James Gallagher against Ricky Bandejas, Bellator. James Gallagher, crap talking Irishman, got Shawn Michaels' Sweet Chin Music. For all of you that watch wrestling that saw Shawn Michaels at Sidekick, he got Sweet Chin Music by relative unknown Ricky Bandejas. So that's another honorable mention, and maybe I'll put those up on the highlights, or maybe not. So Rob, that was pretty cool, man. So here we go. This is our segment of, I believe it's called To Shame or Not to Shame.
Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame.
Oh, Rob, to shame or not to shame? Jordan comparisons after LeBron wins the title. Shame or no shame?
No shame. I don't hate the conversation about it. I just hate people's positioning. Instead of having the conversation about it, they're saying that LeBron is automatically better than Jordan, which is just a disservice to what Jordan has done and the pedestal that he's created for other players to get to. It's just knocking them off because LeBron won another championship. That's what's going to happen because he's been in the league for 20 years. So no shame, but
cool.
Shame to those who take a bad position.
Rob, I go shame, man. They're up 3-1 on Friday night. LeBron has a chance of winning Friday night. What goes back into the movie theaters for reviewing Space Jam? And of course, Sunday night, got to have the Jordan conversation. Can't even give the guy a chance to enjoy his championship, his 4th championship, his 4th MVP. We already know he's not the GOAT. The GOAT is Jordan, but that night and this weekend belonged to LeBron James. Rob, shame or no shame? As we move on to the next segment, the Vikings going for it on 4th and 1 against the Seattle Seahawks when the Seahawks were up by 5.
Absolutely shame. Football is not a game to be played in a trick fashion. The entire game is made so that you move up your field positioning. So if you gotta get a trick play on fourth down, you didn't do enough in the first three. That's like the whole point of it. So they ruined their chances of giving the other team great field position, and they lost the game. It's just what happens. So I don't know if it's Mike Zimmer because he's a defensive-minded coach, or it's when Kirk Cousins came in. But shame on that whole team because they've been throwing up easy wins for since they both got there.
I say shame, 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 shame a fool. If you are lucky enough to have a day when Russell Wilson, or possibly the runaway MVP, is having an off day, you take the field goal. You take the 8-point lead. Because even if he scores at the end, he still has to have a 2-point conversion, which, by the way, they did not get. But since they didn't convert on the fourth down, since they thought they could just end the game there, you took a risk, you failed, and shame on you because you gave my runaway MVP a second chance and a third chance and a fourth chance on 2 4th and 10s. Rob, shame or no shame? The Giants and Jets starting 5-0.
Well, 5-0 in the loss column, yeah.
Sorry, 0-5.
Yeah, it's just it's an obvious shame because it's one of the biggest markets for sports in all of these sporting the top 5 sports or top 4 sports in America. So the fact that they're not doing well, I think it goes again to some sports owners need to be governed as well. Just because they bought the thing doesn't mean they have the best interest for the growth of the sport, as well as the fans who pay the money to get their sport to be something in their community.
Rob, there's a reason why I'm a kid from Brooklyn, but I'm a Buffalo Bills fan because those teams can hit or miss, and sometimes they get a play. The Jets haven't been good in my lifetime, and the Giants have been good too few and far in between. I hope I remain a Buffalo Bills fan for the rest of my life, and I hope they go back to another 4 Super Bowls and live because what I'm seeing right now, 0-10 by these two franchises, you guys should be a shame. Shame.
Hey,
big old market like that. That was to shame or not to shame. Pretty good segment. Got three decent questions in and three legit answers. And now the next segment, ladies and gentlemen, is called Quick Question. Rob, you ready? Quick question. Is the AFC North the best division in the NFL?
I put it up there with the top 4. AFC North, AFC South, NFC North, NFC South, and AFC West.
I say yes. But with the NFC West being a very, very close second, got to give the Niners. I mean, if the Arizona Cardinals are last in that league, that's a good problem for that division. Quick question, Rob: is Chase Claypool the best receiver out of the draft?
At the moment, yes, because he's getting the most opportunities. But I think overall, in a year or two, I don't believe he will be. But great wide receiver.
I say yes. Right now, he's very, very he's razor close to being a wideout one. We talked about the guy from the Dallas Cowboys who's complimenting Amari Cooper. What the heck is his name again?
Oh, CeeDee Lamb?
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb, another good pick. So, yeah. But we had a whole bunch, a good wide receiving core, but right now I say yes. Quick question, NFL. Who is your MVP after week 5?
Russell Wilson. It's not even, a question. He's had a couple of really close victories, so.
I say Russell Wilson, but the Buffalo Bills are playing later on against the Titans, and they win. If they beat the Titans, then I'd like to have another conversation. But until then, make mine Wilson. Quick question, Rob: who wins between Brian Ortega and Korean Zombie coming up this Saturday?
Yeah, difficult to say. I think, honestly, I think probably Brian Ortega. Maybe he actually forced the game to the ground or in his favor. So we'll see.
I say Brian Ortega with you. Quick question, Rob. Does LeBron James deserve Finals MVP?
Yeah. I mean, he's consistent, so puts up big numbers. Got to be the guy.
Yeah, I say yes. And I mean, there's a lot of people he doesn't win without, but those people sure as hell didn't do anything without him either, right? You consider Kyrie Irving, you consider Anthony Davis, with the Pelicans and all that stuff. So, all right, that's the end of our quick question. Rob, I do not. Go ahead, Rob.
I was just gonna say, I gotta say though, and this is what I was pointing at before with the whole, is LeBron greater than Jordan thing? Note that Jordan stayed on one team. That team wasn't crafted to be around him for a very long time. And LeBron, every single team he's gone to, the entire organization has crafted every single player and coach around what he wants and what he needs to make him the best player. So I think there's a little bit of extrapolation here when we talk about, LeBron came in and he made a team so great. A team was created for him over years and years and years of disappointment in Cleveland for him to succeed and do the best at what he needs to do. So I'm just trying to put that out there that, just let's keep this within bounds.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, that actually makes me give him even more credit. There were two Cleveland teams. The team that he got to the finals before he went to Miami, he dragged that team to the finals kicking and screaming.
Absolutely.
They're like,
did.
dude, I want to go to Cabo. Dude, we on a boat. I don't want to go to the finals, LeBron. We on vacation, bro. And
but the reason why that team lost is because it was not crafted in a way to win a championship.
Right.
It was crafted in a way that LeBron James is going to be the best. And once you shut down LeBron James, which the Spurs did for no other team really did, the Spurs actually shut down LeBron James for however long they did, 4 games straight up, and nobody else in that team could beat him. That's why those teams never worked out with LeBron in Cleveland. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not saying he's not a great player. I'm just saying that, it was many, many years LeBron was given at a professional level the keys to the city and did nothing with them, just like a lot of other players did plenty with them. And then organizations threw stuff at his feet. And then, eventually they create a way for him to win. Just saying.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? And as far as destination, remember the whole be like Mike thing in the 90s, man? There's nothing wrong with saying being like LeBron, right? Guy, got like you said, at a very young age, got handed millions of dollars, got handed the keys of the city, and you a teenager, man, you want to be out there maybe playing rich dude or this and that, acting like a G, man. He still kept that same attitude, married his high school sweetheart, you know what I'm saying? 2 decades later, same marriage, ain't doing nobody dirty. You never see LeBron in the news in a negative way. Sent 1,100 kids to college for free, man. The man is doing more for Americans than a lot of American politicians are, So we're not. We know we're not talking about the GOAT off the court. I get that, but as far as wanting to be like someone, why the heck not? And like you said, he assembles this crew of people. But to his credit, and very much like you, Rob, as you're an elite athlete, I remind people you're a professional beach volleyball player. You do not keep non-essentials around you. You have a practice group, you have a training group. You keep it tight. If someone in a group is not producing to the cause, they're out of there. You don't, and I give LeBron credit for that. He helps a lot of people, but as far as how he travels and being productive, I think you can relate in a lot of ways as as an elite athlete. So big up to that. I don't have a sports movie of the week. I was on vacation. In fact, I was off a social network for probably ties my record. I was off a social network for 6 straight days. It was insane. So, but final shout out. I want to give a shout out to the NBA once again for the bubble, 0 positive test. Out of all the sports where people are not being responsible and positive tests are popping up here and there, and if the AVP could find a way to do 0 positive tests with less money, I'm not going to say broke because I don't associate Donaldson and broke in the same sentence. If the AVP can find a way to do it and people, hang out amongst themselves off the court or whatever, I think football, they got to be a little bit more responsible. Baseball, they look like they're circling the wagons on that. So congratulations to the NBA for an awesome way to finish the season.
Yeah, I only can second that because the 0 tests, I don't know if they, fudging the numbers or they just didn't get anything. But they either did it exactly right and everybody else got to figure out what they did, and we got to stick to that plan.
Yeah. And even had a
or-
phase to move their
yeah.
families in, right? I mean,
Right.
how cool is that, right? I mean, because, I know the concerns are, oh, these guys are, oh, they're going to be away from their family for like 2 months and this and that. And it's weird. Like everybody feels for them. And I don't want to sound like a heartless, freak, but I did boot camp. I'm in basic training for like eight weeks and, and another 2.5 weeks for reception and another 3 months for AIT, advanced individual training. So, I'm not the biggest sympathizer with people who have to be away from my families, but I guess it's because I fail in that respect because I'm only reflecting my own personal selfish experience. So, cool, man. Hey, anything else? Come on, let's finish the way you know how to finish, Mr. Robert Simmons.
Nah, man, nothing for me. Just stay happy, stay healthy, man.
Stay happy, stay healthy. That is Rob's message, who loves all of you to death. But for me, I can't stand you, so I am out of here. All right? For all of you at home, for all of you on your iPad at Starbucks, for all of you on your desktop, you know how I do, who runs the world, old school, old school. For Rob, keep it McLean. I am Jason DeBeas, and we both say we're out of here. So long. Check out the Option Podcast on OptionVB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.